Hey you, yeah, you. Are you tired of losing to pesky deal damage cards like this, and this? Well, fear no more. My shiny new Resist Zoo deck, you won't have to place a damage counter ever again. I mean, just take a look at this crazy board screenshotted from one of our satisfied customers. Resist Zoo is a deck that aims to flood the board and overwhelm your opponent with the sheer number of characters that they're forced to deal with. You may wonder how we're going to support playing that many cards, and well, the answer is everybody's new favorite, the Popsicle Engine. Let's start with some of our standard lines of play so that you can get an idea for how the Popsicle Engine factors into this deck. In our mulligan, we want to pretty aggressively search for the Popsicle card as it's our key ingredient to get the deck going. Because our curve's so low, we can afford to only keeping a 2 and a 3 ink and then mulligan the rest to keep digging for the Popsicle. On turn 2, we can either ramp with 1 jump ahead, allowing us to play Haram Flava Charm on 4, or we can play any of our other 2 drops. Grandma Tala is great because we can use it to sing 1 jump ahead on turn 3, thus accelerating our ramp, and we can use it to trade into certain key early game aggressive threats like Lilo, Enchantress, and Pinocchio. If we have a Popsicle on board already or plan to play Fishbone Quill on turn 3, Nui is also a great option due to gaining the resist +1 and ward effect on top of questing for 2, which then applies some great early game pressure. With a Popsicle on board, we can now Judy Hops on turn 3, or even Haram Flower Charm if we've been able to ramp to 4 ring. This is what starts the Popsicle Engine's resource loop. Close the loop on next turn, we could play a Nick Wild, which lets us return a Popsicle from our discard to our hand. We can repeat this as many times as we're able to recycle the Popsicle, which is where Tamatoa comes in, as not only does it recycle any item on play, which means you can use it with Fishbone Quill too, also recycles each and every time it quests. This makes it a very impactful card into the late game. You can see how this card advantage gets out of hand pretty rapidly. To further benefit from this, we're running 4 copies of Fishbone Quill. Realistically, you only ever want 1 to 2 copies of a card out on the board at a time, but thanks to this item, we can leverage our extra cards to ramp, thus accelerating our ink advantage. This abundance of resources is what enables us to flood the board and overwhelm our opponents. Now that you have more ink and cards than you know what to do with, I'm going to teach you how to convert that into a winning board state. There are 3 key characters at this stage of the game. First up is Aurora Dreaming Guardian. This card gives all our other characters ward. It will protect us from any damaging, banishing, or bouncing effects that have to choose a card to take an effect. Think Dragonfire, Smash, and Mother Knows Best. If you're able to play 2 copies of a card, now the whole board, including the Auroras, have ward. This is a bit of an overkill, but it's always an option. Also, keep in mind that Tamatoa is usually a very vulnerable card, but thanks to Aurora, we can now protect it from those banishing, bouncing, and damaging effects. It will make it a lot stickier, and thus you can extract more value out of Tamatoa questing each turn. Next up, we have Cogsworth Grandfather Clock. This is the star of Resist Zoo, as it gives our entire board +1 resist. That nullifies Tinkerbell's AoE effect and halves Grab Your Swords. And if you play 2 copies, well, you've just nullified Grab Your Swords as well with that resist +2. You'd be surprised by how often you can achieve 2 copies of Grandfather Clock thanks to the Popsicle draw engine. With this crazy amount of resist and ward, our characters become indestructible beasts, and our board overall becomes impenetrable with the key exception of Be Prepared. Luckily for us, the Popsicle draw engine means even if we do get Be Prepared, we can draw a bunch more cards to make up for the ones we've lost. Cogsworth Resist also stacks with other forms of resist we have in the deck, such as the resist we see in Noi and the Prince. Their cases with 2 Cogsworth Grandfather Clocks, they go up to +3 resist, which completely nullifies a smash. Once you've set up these resists, it's the perfect opportunity to swing into your opponent's exerted cards, allowing you to control the board and swing tempo in your favor before you've given your opponent breathing room to deal with your Cogsworth. Speaking of beasts, number 3 is Beast Selfless Protector. I like to think of this card as a backup Cogsworth, mainly because the key use case is to protect our board from Grab Your Swords. This is due to its effect of taking its allies' damage counters and putting it onto itself. It means that even if you're on 1 HP, because all of the damage is happening instantaneously with Grab Your Sword, that means you soak up all of the damage regardless of how much health you have remaining on the beast. Even outside of that use case, it's still pretty great for protecting your high questing cards cards could otherwise be traded into, much like a bodyguard character. Now that you know about the multiple buffs we can use to strengthen our board, you need to know how to build the board in the first place so that we can buff it up afterwards. We have a myriad of characters to choose from, so the cards you'll be playing to flood the board are primarily Aurora Royal Princess, Noi, Grandma Tala, Judy Hops, and Caterpillar. Caterpillar is especially great in this deck because it's a 1/3 at free cost that quests for free. So with Resist, it becomes an indestructible beast that applies a ton of questing pressure into your opponent. After questing with these small characters, it's a great idea to play Prince. This is because he has Resist +1 and Bodyguard, which means on play you can exert him to force your opponent to have to challenge it first. This is essentially a taunt if you've ever played Hearthstone, and combined with the Resist, you can end up completely defending your board with just a Prince, depending on the board state. The Prince also quests for 2, so he's applying a good amount of threat himself while having 1/2 free resist and defending your other high questing characters. This all sounds great in theory, right? But Alphos, you may ask, what if my opponent has the tempo? How am I going to win the game if they've gone first and they're questing for a lot? Well, my esteemed viewer, I present to you our first way to stabilize the board, especially in the aggro mirror, and swing tempo into our favor is Steel's favorite AoE removal, Grab Your Sword. You can play Aurora Royal Princess on turn 2 to let us shift into Aurora Dreaming Guardian on turn 3, which means we can then sing Grab Your Sword on turn 3. This is an incredibly quick way to swing the tempo into our favor. If you thought in set 1 playing Tinkerbell on 3 and Big Tinkerbell on 4 to grab your sword was bad, try doing it on turn 3. If we aren't able to pull off an early Grab Your Sword, but we still want to curb some early aggression from our opponent, then we have a wonderful new card from set 2, Strength of a Raging Fire. The untrained eye, this may just look like a smash with extra steps. There are 2 key differences. Firstly, it can be sung. It pairs amazingly with the Prince, which wants to be exerted anyway for its bodyguard effect to take hold. And as a zoo deck, we quite often have 4, 5, 6 plus cards on the board. Other than Maleficent, Hades is probably the best tempo swing card in the game. This is because at the cost of giving our opponent an ink, it comes with the effect of moving an opponent's card from the game. However, we also get a free 6 on board that quests for 2, which goes amazingly with our aggressive game plan. Only running 2 copies as we usually want to end the game fairly quickly before our opponent can catch up in resources. Did consider some other options in the deck, the first one being Cinderella Stout-Hearted. Back when set 2 was first revealed, I thought this card would have a lot of impact, especially in the original concept, which was a mid-range resist deck, but now in the new wide flood the board aggro version, it's really just too slow to have much of an impact on our game plan. If you wanted a more consistent turn 3 Grab Your Sword to further hedge your matchup into the aggro mirror, you could consider cutting a couple noise to add in Cogsworth Talking Clock. The reason we don't run this is because it's a pretty meh 2-drop for the deck that doesn't add much value and only quests for 1. If you're having trouble with evasives, you could consider running Li Shang. I think this card's pretty decent in our deck as the effect synergizes quite nicely with having a high resist board, as evasives usually have quite low attack with the exception of Radagan. However, Radagan would die to just a Grandma Tala anyway. Here's the full list. I hope you enjoyed that style of deck review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments or any feedback you might have. Alright guys, here's a game of my Resist Zoo deck. Grab Your Sword and Aurora's nice to keep, but we would need to fish for a 2-cost Aurora, and because we're going first, I think it's better to instead just look for other combo pieces for the engine. Yeah, this seems good. Because now we have a 1-drop, we have a 2-drop, and we have the Haram. We have two noise. Could just get rid of a beast here. I think that's a smart play because we're not going to be able to play it for quite a few turns. With a popsicle, draw a card. Nice, another popsicle, you love to see it. Reen, it could be discard, it could be quite an aggressive deck, it could even be a control deck. We have a lot of noise. I don't want to keep the Cogsworth because that's going to be great to play later on. Maybe thinking to not keep the Judy because I might want to go 2+1 and 3. So that way we have more popsicles for the Haram Flavasham. I think this turn we go with a Noi. We can also safely quest in front of Duke of Weselton as well. Really want to get a Fishbone Quill here so we can benefit off of the card advantage we get with Haram. Okay, and they play the Robin Hood, which indicates that they're probably a beast OTK deck. Definitely not my list though, as I don't run Robin Hood. Luckily, we're really good into this matchup. With our resist, with Cogsworth, you know, we're not going to take any damage or no damage at all. I kind of want to ramp because we don't have Fishbone Quill, so I might Ink the Noi. Keep calling it Nui. Yeah, because the Caterpillar I want to keep for aggression later on. So we ink the Noi, and then we play Popsicle plus Grandma Tal. Probably should have played the Popsicle first in case there was something else I would have rather inked. Do we quest here? Yeah, it takes no damage from Robin Hood, 1 damage from Duke of Weselton. We're safe to quest. Yep, there we go. It's Beast OTK deck. If we just stack up resists, they shouldn't be able to do much to us. Oh, they banished one of our Popsicles. That's unfortunate. Benja's probably a great card to play in the current Popsicle meta. Yeah, they've got a tough decision here. If they trade the Duke of Weselton in Manoi to make it so that Benja can trade next turn. No, they're just going to go for the Grandma. Let me ramp. Ooh, that's really good for me because that's going to let me go into the Cogsworth next turn. So if they do decide to deal damage to Noi, Noi will be able to deal damage right back and take no damage from a Duke or the Benja. They're really thinking about if they should quest or trade. I think in this situation it's probably always better to quest with the Duke from their perspective. Yeah, they make the correct decision. Yeah, we can still just go straight into the Cogsworth though. I think we have the tempo right now. So I'm tempted to get rid of the strength of, to ink the strength of a Raging Fire and just go straight into the Cogsworth. Because now Noi can't take damage from any of them, they can keep questing safely. Like right now, Noi can only take damage from things that are at least 3 attacks, so that's like a smash. Both cards, actually they can only take AoE damage and challenge damage because both cards have ward. So we definitely don't want to play the Haram yet because we're relying on having an item up. I think we just, we push the aggressiveness, we just keep playing cards. We could start controlling their board in a second here. When we get the second Cogsworth down, then both the other Cogsworths will have +1 resist, which would mean they'd be able to trade into one of the Cogsworths, so I don't know if that's worth it. We'll have to see. Ideally, we get another free drop here, so we can play 2 free drops this turn, and then next turn, play the Cogsworth, allowing us to quest pretty safely with the free drops. This is pretty okay too, actually, because if I do the Cogsworth now, they'll just die. If I quest with the Cogsworth now, they'll just die to what's on the board, and they aren't applying any pressure right now, so if I just keep delaying, you know, my big swing, big lore turn, then I should be fine. Do we go with a Noi? No, the Noi can be easily taken out by the Hans, so what I might do is just play the Caterpillar and the Grandma Tala, and then just, or do I ink? If I ink, I'd have to get rid of the Haram. I'm tempted to do that. I think it's worth it. But let's think. If no, I don't think it's worth it to ink the Haram. We gotta keep it so that we can keep drawing. So we don't ink this turn, we just stay on 5 ink, that's fine. And the next turn we play the Cogsworth and just go for a massive quest for 8 lore. With +2 resist, their grab your swords won't be able to damage us anymore. Yeah, boom, Plasma Blaster, that's not gonna do anything with all of our resist. I mean, this deck just eats steel for breakfast. Look at that, boom, 0 damage. Hans Ping's gonna do nothing. Can only do 1 damage to the Cogsworth. Next turn, no Cogsworth is gonna be able to get hit by the Hans Ping. And next time we're gonna put them in a really sticky situation where they have to choose between dealing with the Cogsworth, if we even quest with them, and dealing with the high resist characters. I'm honestly, with the tempo the way it is, I don't think we need to quest with the Cogsworth yet, so I might just not quest with them. Just keep a +2 resist buff on the board. Yeah, they haven't quested again, so we are safe to just play the Cogsworth. We've got 2 Harams, we don't need to, so I'll ink 1 just so we can have extra ink. Now, because they haven't put any pressure onto the board, we can take our time and just not quest with a Cogsworth while all our other characters have resist +2. I mean, this guy really should have been questing so many turns ago to like force me into the trade and force me to expose my characters, because right now they've just given me tons of time to set up the board. I mean, they've got Kuzco now, but we win next turn if they don't deal with our board. That was a mistake, Hans. You needed to take out the Grandma Tala. Grandma Tala was the only one you could damage with a Hans. They have resist +2. Could have stopped me from winning. I think people will just, yeah, just give up. Fair enough. That was quite short, so let's go for another game to really show off the deck. Alright, we got another game here. Let's see. Oh, okay, so Cogsworth is great, but not right now. Aurora's good, but not right now. So I think we get rid of those. We really want to dig for a Popsicle here. So I think we get rid of a Nick Wild too. I prefer a Grandma Tala over a Noi if we don't find a Popsicle. So I think we're just going to mulligan hard and look for a Popsicle here. And we get it! Nice. Yeah, you definitely really want to mulligan aggressively with this deck to find the Popsicle, especially because we have such a low curve, you're bound to find other 2 and 3 drops anyway, even if you miss the Popsicle. Okay, let's see. We get rid of a Fishbone here? No, I think we get rid of a Bodyguard. Ink for Bodyguard, and then play the Popsicle. probably looking like a Grandma Tala game here. I think getting some ramp up will be really nice. The draw engine going, especially because we can, with Grandma Tala, we can challenge with Lilo. They've got the tempo, so it might not be worth keeping the Caterpillar for now. I think we get rid of the Caterpillar. Caterpillar is a lot better going first, or once you have a board set up to have a high amount of quest. Probably just going to go into Simba here, or bounce it back, depending on what the deck is. Yeah, there comes out the Simba. No strength of a Raging Fire, so we don't... I mean, that wouldn't have dealt with it anyway right now. It's kind of a situation where you really want to grab your sword. So I think because we need that grab your sword so badly, we're gonna have to ramp for it. Nick Wild's great, but he's a bit slow right now. So if we go Ink for Nick Wild, play Fishbone Quill. We don't even need to play Fishbone Quill, really. So we can just ramp with our Grandma. So I think, yeah, we play Judy Hops, draw the Popsicle. Probably should have kept the Nick Wild now in that case, but oh well. Then we slam into the Simba, getting him to 2 HP and getting enough ink so that next turn we can play Grab Your Sword. I think in hindsight, I probably would have inked for Grandma Tala and then played, yeah, inked for Grandma Tala and kept the Nick Wild so that we could recycle the Popsicle. Okay, they've smashed my Judy Hops, they've cleared my board. That's fine, we'll clear theirs. I don't need Beast right now, we'll ink for Beast and play the Grab Your Sword. Sweet. They seem like a more aggressive deck than us, so I think we will win out with resources as the game goes on. If we just are able to set up the draw engine. It requires us to draw into another Popsicle or a Nick Wild and a Haram though. If we set up another Lilo, that's fine. I think what we do here is we play the Grandma, play the Fishbone Quill. We ink for Fishbone. One jump ahead is just one ink with Fishbone Quill and oh, yeah. Oh, we gotta keep the Grab Your Sword. So I think we just get rid of the one jump ahead. This means we can grab your sword next turn and hopefully have some ink left over to clear the board. If we slam the Grandma Tala into the aerial, then that's another solid Grab Your Sword. Yeah, and now they're playing out, by delaying the Grab Your Sword a turn, they are going to be able to quest for free, but they've just made more cards vulnerable to the Grab Your Sword. Yeah, boom, lovely. Play Grab Your Sword, nice, clear their whole board. And now we can play Noi. We're really behind in lore, but we're really ahead in ink. We just desperately need to get a Popsicle back. I'm really regretting getting rid of that Nick Wild, but you know, we'll keep playing the game regardless. Oh, there goes our Fishbone Quill. Now it's really unfortunate because Noi's going to lose her effect. Oh, but we can get the resist back with the Cogsworth. Cogsworth saving the day. Thank you, Cogsworth. Looks like they're just going to go for the quest, because they know that we need to clear their board more than they need to clear ours. Grab Your Sword doesn't do much. Honestly, I think we just keep questing, because we've got way more quests than them right now. We can just put pressure onto the board. Like, I mean, they're going to trade into the Cogsworth anyway. Yeah, so it's always better to quest there. Okay, they are going to take out the Cogsworth. That's fine. Oh, no, they're going to take out the Noi. So we can take out the Benja next turn with our Grandma Tala. Nice. Oh, and the other Cogsworth means we won't even lose the Grandma Tala doing it. That's perfect. Now we can quest with the Cogsworth. And now we take 1 damage from Grab Your Swords and the Cogsworth and no damage from Grab Your Swords and Grandma Tala. I don't know if they have, maybe they have like a smash in hand or something that they couldn't play last turn as removal because of a ward. Oh, yeah, the Tinkerbell AoE damage does nothing. 2 Cogsworths completely nullifies it. And we top deck for Prince, letting us have a bodyguard character with resist free. So it only takes 1 damage from Tinkerbell and we can fully quest with our whole board. And next time we can quest for game if they can't take out any of our cards. It's unlikely they can. I mean, what is Steel gonna do against resist, right? Maybe just do 1 damage. They need something that deals 5 damage to finish off for Prince now and stop us from playing for game. They're really looking for an out here, using Rapunzel to draw cards. I don't know what they're going to do with 2 ink. That's not enough. We just quest for game. GG. Well played. And boom. That is how powerful Resist Zoo is. Just such a strong deck, especially to counter the current Steel meta. I'd say it's a bit of a tougher matchup into the red-blue Popsicle deck. You have to play that matchup a lot more aggressively. Take advantage of the time that they're setting up their Popsicle engine and just use all of your early game questing cards to quest as much as possible and then set up your Cogsworths to protect your whiteboard. Yeah, I would say in that matchup, don't focus on your Popsicle engine when you're playing against red-blue, because then they'll just be able to have a better end game than you will. Alright guys, here's my mulligan. Let's get rid of some grab your swords. I mean, we could keep one grab your sword to try and fish for Aurora because we're going second, so we could flip the aggro that way. So yeah, I mean, we keep everything else. Hope we fish for an Aurora because we have the popsicle. We can afford to do it. We don't need to look for any other cards. Our 2 caterpillars, not as great going second, but will be pretty good in our hand once we've established some board precedence to apply some pressure. Okay, Ruby, they've inked a Maui. Ruby Amethyst, Pascal, so they're either like a full control deck, or they might probably, after playing Pascal, have a bounce package too, with Merlins and Madame Mims. I think we have time to set up our engine, because it's not the fastest deck in the world. Okay, perfect, Grand Martella, that works too. So I think we ink one of the caterpillars, and then just go straight into a popsicle. Probably better to ramp into a grab your sword as quick as we can, since we haven't picked up a shift Aurora for a turn 3 grab your sword, just to stop that Pascal from questing on us every turn. Because even if we put the Grand Martella out now, they're just going to play another card and give it evasive. Taking a long time to decide their turns. They've inked, we've got 8 seconds left, what are they going to do? Quest. Alright. Now the question is, do they have a turn 3 play? They probably do. I mean, I think no matter what, because we don't have an Aurora, we're just playing the Grand Martella. So the question is, what do we get rid of? We have a Noi up, so there is an argument to not ink that. Bodyguard's kind of... The Bodyguard and Prince is kind of good, but I don't know if we need 2 of them right now. I think we get rid of the Aurora, because the Aurora is just a worse Noi without the shift form. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the ass. We're going to draw into a shift Aurora next turn anyway, and it's going to be my fault for being greedy with the princes. But I mean, 2 princes and 2 caterpillars in hand is just going to be a lot of questing pressure, which is why I kind of wanted to go for that angle. Ink a LeFaux, so they're probably going to play another Oh, they played friends on the other side, so they can't quest with their Pascal. Awesome. Slow them down, get our engine running. We have 2 Judy Hops. Probably don't need... we might need 2 because they might play an item we want to get rid of. So I think we ink one of the princes instead, and then we go for a Judy Hops to get a draw. This does mean we can't get the Noi effect anymore until we get another item. There's the Haram. If we can draw into another Popsicle, that'd be great. So we can start setting up the Haram. And then we could do Popsicle plus free drop. Because Haram draws 2 cards, it's always going to be better than Judy Hops. Judy Hops is mainly there for getting the draw a turn earlier and being able to banish your opponent's items as well. And, you know, she quests for 2, so it's a strong character to have. Okay, it looks like we're going to quest Bounce for Pascal for a total of 3 lore. Because they need to quest the Alpha to do that, we want to set up a board that can get rid of the Alpha. I think in this case, probably just playing the Haram. I don't know if we don't need the Noi right now as a thing. We might need the Noi if we want to do 3+2 on the next turn. So, but Haram's such a good piece. Actually, it's not that good. We only need one of them. It depends on how much removal their deck has. Yeah. Might regret getting rid of the Haram later, but I think it's more important to value tempo right now when we don't have an item on the board anyway, or a Nick Wild to get one back. So hopefully they feel safe playing like the Pascal back out and some other low health cards that we can grab your sword next turn. Might be a Dragonfire on the Haram here, I'm not sure. They're definitely going to be scared. Yeah, no, they're scared of me getting my engine up and running. Haven't regretted getting rid of the Haram just yet, but it's probably going to bite us later. They're just going, okay, so we need to apply some pressure onto them because they're just questing for a lot now. So what we can do is we just go for pure quest value here. So, I mean, this might seem crazy, but I think we get rid of the Judy Hops and then we go into Noi plus Caterpillar, and the next turn we can go for 2 princes. That way we're just going to have a lot of questing pressure onto the board. I mean, they do have a Dragonfire though, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. Yeah, okay, they're just going for draw right now. Have they already inked this turn? Oh no, they haven't. Okay, so we've got one more turn where they can't Dragonfire. That's perfect. So we can just keep applying a ton of questing pressure. Oh no, never mind, they went first. Damn, okay, so they can be prepared next turn, so we don't want to use all our resources just in case that's the route they go for. Okay, they're gonna go for a rush from a Madame Mim. I mean, that means we probably just go for a grab your sword next turn and keep questing. Bait out, but be prepared. I hope they quest with the Arthur so we can get damage on the Arthur at least. Okay, no. Yeah, so I think we go... We set up the Popsicle. Okay, yeah, I see what we do here. Do we play the... No, I think we don't want to be greedy, so we're going to 1 jump ahead for Grand Martella. We could trade or we could just keep questing here. I don't really want the Madame Mim to take out another one of our cards when we have no way of attacking the Pascal. So I think we just ink one of the princes. Quest with Noi and Caterpillar. And and then go for a grab your sword. I mean, this makes it a very obvious be prepared for them, but at least we haven't like invested all of our resources. Like we still have 1 prince in hand, and we've gotten a ton of lore already, 12 lore. Yeah, there's the be prepared, cool. But now they're on a timer. We only need 8 more lore to win, and we have a ton of ink to work with. And we've got a popscorn board, so we just need to draw into nice Judy hops, perfect. Get that draw cycle going. Now we just want to see some Nick Wilds, or maybe even another popsicle. We'll play the Noi, play the Prince, play it Bodyguard in case we play a Maui. Oh, actually, no, I shouldn't have played it Bodyguard because we had nothing to protect. This is strictly bad. Because now the Prince can be destroyed by a Maui, when before I could have left him on the board to quest for 2. Should hopefully fine. Hopefully we don't get punished. You know, just by instinct you end up playing the Bodyguard Exerted. Oh good, it looks like they don't have a Maui. That's awesome. They're really searching for some options here, because we've just put 6 quests out on the board for like 8 ink. That's crazy. Oh no, we have been punished by the Madam Mim. Shouldn't have exerted it. Hopefully we can still win the game. It all depends on what we draw next, really. Oh, Cogsworth. That is a great card to have right now. Resist 2. I mean, it's still... Resist +1. Madam Mim still takes out Judy Hops. Yeah, it's just better to quest here. Unless we have another Madam Mim. They could attack with the Madam Mim, bounce Madam Mim back to hand, and then attack to clear the other Noi. It's gonna be so hard for them to come back with here. I mean, Cogsworth has wards, so they would need to be prepared to take it out. Oh, they're desperate. They're desperate looking for an option here. They didn't clear with the Madam Mim. Yeah, why did the ink counter go down? Oh, okay, Elsa, that's pretty big. That means my Judy Hops and Noi can't re-ready next turn. If I hadn't made the mistake with the Bodyguard, we would have won this turn with the Cogsworth Resist, which is an interesting thing to note. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious here that we're just going to quest, play another card that can quest for 2. Now they really have to find a be prepared to clear this board, and we're just 1 character questing away from winning. Okay, there goes Elsa, Elsa. There goes Noi, there goes Judy Hops. Still got a Cogsworth on the board, still got an Aurora on the board. Even if they can Dragonfire and Maleficent the Aurora, they can't take out the Cogsworth now without a rush card. I mean, this is the advantage of playing an aggressive deck into these control lists. Like, even with all the resources in the world, we've just quested so much and put ourselves so close to victory that they probably just can't find the answer in this situation, even after I made that mistake with the Prince. Can't deal with the Cogsworth, wasn't enough damage. They still gotta get rid of the Aurora too. I mean, what are they gonna do? Oh, we just win. GG. Yeah, that's the power of an aggressive zoo-like deck with the Popscore engine to give us so many cards even after a board wipe. Yeah, really exploit the slower control deck's weaknesses. I'd appreciate any likes, comments, and subscribes.